today we have Southwest Nebraska Public Health Department here, Mrs. Heidi Wheeler. And then she has a helper here, May introduce yourself.
Sure.
I'm not sure we're laying away. So welcome, and it's going to be one of our new regulations is emergency preparedness. And some things we have to do is talk about incident command, what we would do if we have a disaster at the Manor. And then we have to be able to have like an in-service thing like this week. In October 18th, I think. I know there's a sign up. We will be doing a tabletop drill when we will walk through an actual disaster and talk about what we would do. So this is going to be kind of a prep for Heidi to start training us on all the requirements. So thank you, Heidi.
Thanks, Joyce. Yes, so my helper is Mason Holmes. He's fairly new to the public health world. And Helena Janishek, she's not new to the public health world. There's a sign-in sheet going around. Please make sure you sign in for me. And I've got more if you need more. So there might be two, because I got to have one, and maybe the hospital has one too. So sorry for all the signatures, but that's the way it goes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to just touch on incident command because it might be a new concept to some of you. It may not be. But we don't want to get too down in the weeds today, so we're going to touch on incident command. And then we're going to go through a walkthrough of setting the stage for your exercise, your evacuation exercise in October. So it won't be long. I tend to talk really fast, so if I talk too fast and you guys want me to slow down, please just say so. Do you want a chair, ma'am?
I think she went to go get some more.
Because there's one here that's not going to be used. Oh, Helena probably wants that chair. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. This one? There's one over here too. Okay. You're going to have a hole.
And the third objective that we're going to do today is we're going to start developing an incident command team. Which is going to be part of the new regs also. It doesn't say that specifically, but if you're following the incident command system, Joyce at some point is going to have to start plugging in people and asking you to start filling these positions. So we're going to refer a lot to this incident command chart. Today and at our exercise, what we're going to be focusing on a lot is on the operations and the logistics. And the operations are the kind of the boots on the ground, the people that are going to be in the trenches working. Logistics are those people that are going to be getting stuff for the emergency. So they're very important. So we're going to start with that. And then of course your incident commander is always important. So just a little background. Incident command was developed in the 70s. They had wildfires out in California and they had people and resources diverging on the scene. But they had no organization. So they had all the people and all the resources they ever could want, but they had nobody managing them. So Incident Command, or NIMS, National Incident Management System, has developed out of that system. So what that, back then it was the fire and EMS and emergency management. Back then it was probably civil support at that time, but that's where it all started. And now it's beginning to morph into realizing that we need hospitals involved in this. Again, long-term care facilities have been left out of the picture. So we're starting in with the long-term care facilities. You guys as long-term care facilities are part of the incident management system, so we've got to get you guys involved. You guys will, if you're having a disaster, you're going to rely on outside agencies to help you. If outside agencies like other nursing homes, if surrounding hospitals are having an incident, you may take some of their patients for them too. So now the nation is trying to incorporate nursing homes into incident command. So that's where you guys are coming in. We're trying to, the CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, are trying to get nursing homes up to speed, up to, all the resources, money, federal funding has been dumped into hospitals, and nursing homes have historically been left out of all the planning, all the resources, all the funding. So they're trying to change that. I don't know, the funding that has went to the hospitals for the preparedness, now they're branching out into nursing homes, EMS, outpatient clinics, that type of thing. So we're not just looking at hospitals as part of our emergency system, but all the healthcare agencies. So that's where we are today. You can go ahead, I think I've explained that. Okay, so the features of ICS that make this a usable system, no matter what agency we're in, whether we're emergency management or healthcare, public health, is it has common terminology. So if you are integrating into a disaster management system, if emergency management or the healthcare coalition calls you guys and says, McCook Community Hospital is having a crisis and they need you to take 3 or 4 of their patients, that you will understand their terminology. If they start talking about incident command and operations section chief, and this is the liaison for emergency management, you guys are going to understand that system because you guys are being weaved into that system. The other thing that helps is if you guys are having a disaster and you are asking people to come help you. Maybe you are asking staff from McCook Community Hospital or the nursing home in McCook to come help you. You might be asking volunteers to come help you. If everybody within the emergency management system understands the terminology of incident command, no matter if you go out or come in or if you're bringing people in, they're going to understand your incident command. It's going to make a much more seamless emergency response. Manageable span of control becomes important in a crisis. And this is just a very simplistic chart of manageable span of control. They suggest 5, no more than 7, no less than 3. On a daily basis, if you have 7 people that you supervise, or you have 10 people that you supervise, in a crisis, that's too many people. It's too many people for one person to handle in a crisis. So they ask that we start reorganizing people so you only have 5 people under you, so it's more manageable. And we won't get into that too much, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Pre-designated incident locations. Joyce has worked a lot with the other nursing homes about developing some mutual aid systems. So if mutual aid, if you guys have to evacuate, the protocols are that you send staff with those people to, so if you send people to El Dorado nursing home, you're not only going to send the residents, but you're going to send nursing staff with them. So you have to be able to meld into their incident command system as well. That's pre-designated facilities or mutual aid facilities. You may have a facility in town that if you have an emergency evacuation where it's just people just have to get out immediately and we don't have time to try to farm them out to people, you may have a facility designated that you just take them and then you start trying to do mutual aid from there. That's a pre-designated facility, and you want that facility to understand your incident command. Not deep, but they need to understand who's the incident commander. So if you guys need to use our facility, who am I going to be talking to? Staging area is going to be important as we walk through this exercise. If you're going to evacuate, what they suggest is you have a staging area. So if you're going to evacuate, say, from your front door of the hospital, somewhere up there becomes your staging area. So you can bring all your supplies, all your equipment, you can have it in your staging area. As you are evacuating residents out, you can grab those supplies, put them with the resident, and get them out. So your staging area in an evacuation is very important. And that may not be in your plans. That's just some facilities say that was quite handy. Resource management becomes important if you are in a crisis. You will use like 3 times the amount of supplies that you do on a normal day. So supplies and resource management becomes very important because you run out of supplies very quickly, and somebody's got to be managing your supplies and get those on order or get people to bring them in. Whatever you need, or maybe drop them off at an evacuation point or a mutual aid site. Your resource management becomes very important. And we talked about integrated communications, and unified command becomes when you are in a crisis, you will have your incident commander, and I'm just going to use Joyce. I don't know, Joyce is probably not going to be incident command. She probably will be operations section.
Deb said she would be incident command.
Yes, Deb will be incident command. So It's not going to be just Deb making decisions. It's going to be Deb and the fire chief and the police chief and emergency management. So unified command becomes when a lot of your emergency management people outside this facility start coming in to work the crisis together. Okay, so these are the main functions, the main positions that we want to just talk about without getting too down in the weeds. Your incident command is the person that's in charge. If Deb is incident command and she's not here, somebody has to fill that role. So it's whoever steps in, whoever, out in the field, it's whoever's on scene first is incident command until they're relieved or somebody else more qualified comes in. So what we're trying to do with each of these positions and what Joyce is going to be trying to do with each of these positions is be 3D. So you may be primary incident command, but there's going to be 2 deputies underneath of you in case you're gone. Because nothing will ever happen in the middle of the day whenever you're full staff. It's going to be in the middle of the night when half of you are on vacation. So we have to be 3 deep in these positions so somebody can step into that role. Okay, so incident command, they're the ones that are making all the decisions. They're not running the incident. They're probably in their office making phone calls, talking to the state, talking to emergency management. They're the ones that are setting the objectives for the incident. Are they going to evacuate or are they going to shelter in place? Whatever, they're the ones making those decisions. Your operations is very important, and it's usually colored in red if you look at any incident command. They're the ones that are, you can actually flip through this as I go because I think I'm getting ahead of myself. So the operations is the one with the boots on the ground. They're the ones that are going to be in the middle of the scene running the crisis, whatever that may be. They need to know the operations, they need to know the plans, they need to know the residents, they need to know the mutual aid systems, they need to know what's going on because they're going to be running operations. If the incident command tells you to evacuate, operations figures out how to do it. And they carry that out. So operations is very important. They will also direct resources. So volunteers, if you're getting volunteers in, if you're getting supplies in, whatever resources you guys are getting in, they're the ones in, directing those in and out of your facility. Planning are the thinkers. These folks are the ones that are trying to figure out what this facility is going to need in the next 5 minutes, what you're going to need in the next 5 hours, what you're going to need in the next 5 days. So planning is those people that are just sitting around figuring out what you guys are going to need for the resource, which I'm not belittling that, I'm teasing because it's a very important position. They're also important as they prepare documents. If you need NHICS forms, which we're going to talk a little bit about, they get those documents. If they need timesheets, they get those for you. If you need maps, whatever documentation you're going to need for the scene or for the crisis, they're the ones that are going to get that for you. Okay. Logistics, we're also going to spend a little time on logistics because they're very important. Like I said, your supplies and resources are going to deplete quickly, extremely quickly if you're in a crisis. And especially if you're evacuating or sheltering in place, your resources are going to be critical. They're going to be depleted very quickly. So logistics is important because they're the ones that are going to be getting you whatever you need. And that all goes through, so you're, well, I'm going to stop before I get ahead of myself again. Finance admin are those folks that are actually paying the bill. So if we're ordering supplies, if we're calling in nurses, whatever we need to do financially to run the scene, it's going to be through finance admin. And I'm sure those people are probably going to be the ones that are probably doing finance admin in a regular day. They are probably the ones that come on to the scene last because we're trying to, worry about patient safety first and then trying to pay the bill later. I know that makes people a little nervous, but patient safety is always first. Oh, is that it? Okay. So go back to that one that had the little chart. Okay, so this is your incident command, operations, planning, logistics, and finance admin, this is your general staff. These are going to be very important. On the side, on your right-hand side, is your command staff. So you've got public information officer, safety officer, liaison officer, and your medical director. These folks are also important that need to be identified. Public information, you know, those are the folks that are, they may not be the face in front of the camera, they may be. Sometimes that's just your administrator, it just depends. Sometimes that person is the one working behind the scenes, developing the messages. But anyways, they're the ones that have the most contact or the most have to do most with the media outreach. Safety officer, of course, you guys, I'm sure you've got a safety officer, which may be different than your normal safety person. Liaison is that person talking to outside agencies. If we need to call emergency management, if we need to call the state, if we need to call mutual aid, that liaison officer is that person that's making those phone calls. And then, of course, your medical director will be super important because they're going to have a lot to say in patient care as we're trying to do whatever we got to do. Okay, so that's just the touch of incident command. Is there any questions? Please holler if there's questions on that. Okay, so Joyce, I want to give Joyce those. So we just want to quickly set up what we're going to be doing for our exercise. And what I want Joyce to do is I want her to, if you can designate these people in operations and logistics, can you do that even if you're wrong? Can you just do it real quick?
Okay.
Sheet all.
What do you need? Sure.
And if the person's
Because I had
not,
started, I thought I needed it for October.
no, this is fine. It won't take long.
I talked to Deb Hertzberg, our CEO, a little bit about this, because it makes a difference. You know, is the disaster maybe just only part of the Manor? Didn't get the hospital and the Manor. It's going to make a difference what it is. That's going to determine some of these at the time. So she said always she will be the incident commander, and she will be at our training in October also. Myself is operations.
Yeah, I'm with you. Keep going down.
Okay. Logistics was Barb.
Raise your hand if,
Barb is back in the corner.
I know Barb. Barb.
How many do I have to do?
well, if you can do them all, let's do them all. If you can't, then let's not. Just do the ones you can.
Bill was going to be safety officer.
And we don't have, we're just doing logistics and operations.
Okay, I was gonna
Okay.
say.
And if-
Okay.
Go do red for me, Joyce.
Yeah, do all the red people.
Red people.
Yeah. So this might be your DON.
Rather than, okay, let's change that then. We're doing that.
I would put your DON in operations.
The resident service branch director is Barb then,
Which one?
instead of logistics.
But
Admission and transfer would be charity.
With logistics.
we haven't got there that
Oh,
yet.
You said if you.
Charity for admit transfer. We know he was, yeah.
No, that's ours. I'm sorry.
Nursing unit leader would be the charge nurse. So that could be Deborah Lee, she's the one over here today.
And they may work together, so you guys, because if you're not one, then you'll be two, so you'll be the backup probably. And you can think about that one, yeah.
Psychosocial unit leader would be Marge. Say, this, I'm just shooting from the hip, ladies, so don't have a problem.
Yeah, this may change. Who's Marge? Did you say Marge?
Yeah, Marge.
Psychosocial unit leader.
That might be like environmental.
Are you still in your red?
Oh, yeah. That would be somebody that would know.
Somebody from maintenance be infrastructure.
That would be good.
Oh, she's got your psychosocial unit. It's right there. Look behind her. Yeah.
Colorado.
Sorry.
What did you say, infrastructure? Infrastructure, do you see Mark?
Dietary is going to be super busy.
Okay, dietary is Brenda. Is Kelly here?
And environmental is a lot of the laundry, the blankets, the linens,
That would be.
Maybe Celia right back there.
and then that would be your maintenance.
another maintenance man would be physical plant.
Together.
Who'd you say?
The plan.
One of the guys in maintenance.
So your main, like, do you have a purchasing? Okay, so do you have a second person? Oh, that's this one.
That's Barb. That's Charity.
What's me?
That's okay.
Barb, bring me back.
Can we have you read them again if we could?
Sure. Can we, just let us get everybody assigned real quick and then I
Go
will.
back over again.
That's maintenance. That's maintenance. Okay, that's our business.
Okay, now I'm with you.
And choose another one.
Mark already has one.
Because then they're
Taylor,
gonna
Taylor for logistics.
Taylor, raise your hand.
Thank you.
That would be your IT, your hard IT.
IT is not.
And we don't have to designate him now. We can move on. This is gonna be your medical records person. That is gonna be pretty important. IS, Information Services.
Barb Baca.
Okay? Barb.
Oh, this is for today.
We're just practicing. We're just throwing names out, so don't panic. Don't panic.
Deb, you'll be service branch director?
Sure.
Kelly will be transportation.
Raise your hand, Kelly.
Mona, you'll be the staffing scheduler.
Okay. I know.
That person is just gonna be there, just getting some.
Ginger, you'll be the supply unit leader.
Raise your hand, Ginger. Okay. Did we get them all?
Do I still have support branch director?
Support branch director.
Boyd.
Okay, now, we just did that quickly, and so don't panic, because those may change, they may not. We're gonna skip that for now. These may even change before October. We're just trying to get it so there's an idea. Okay, so what did you want me to do? Kind of go over operations and logistics. Okay, so operations are going to be those people. So our exercise is about evacuation. I am getting blinded. I got to get out of the light. So we're going to be practicing an evacuation. So operations are going to be those people that are getting residents, that are moving them to where they need to go, caring for them. If they've got care needs that they need before they evacuate, getting the care needs established. The operations is going to be basically resident care. Anything that has to do with resident care is going to be the operations people. Logistics are going to be the getters. They are going to be getting supplies. Do we need to send, if you evacuate, you need to send a blanket. You need to send, if they're diabetic, they need to have some food with them. Maybe even if they're not diabetic, you need to send food. For sure you need to send water. You'll need to send medical supplies. If they need personal hygiene supplies, you need to send that. Whatever, and like I said, in a disaster, those supplies are going to be so readily used that as you're sending supplies out, somebody's got to be monitoring that to make sure you've got enough supplies in-house to send with the residents as they're evacuating. Now, if it's an emergency, like just get them the heck out of here emergency, you're not going to be ordering in supplies. If you're sheltering in place, the logistics people become extremely important because then you've got to get supplies in. The other thing under logistics that's going to be important is transportation. If you are evacuating all your residents out, we got to get transportation for those folks. And school buses does not work. You cannot put these residents on school buses. It doesn't work. So we've got to get vans in from other agencies to get your residents. Now the school buses work if you're hauling staff, if you're hauling supplies, whatever. You may be calling in farmers to get move wheelchairs, to move mattresses, to do that type of thing. But the transportation becomes important under logistics. And then staffing and scheduling become super important because you're going to run out of staff eventually too. Especially if you're sending staff to other facilities, you might need to get volunteers. You might need to get Medical Reserve Corps volunteers. You might need to get other nursing staff from other facilities. So does that help explain the two groups that we're doing? Or is that totally not what you wanted me to cover?
I just meant like on this paper, who's who. And
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So at our October exercise, we'll have a better idea of who's who. So we won't go into that too much. Okay, so can you switch to my other PowerPoint, please? And go down there and hook onto my other one. Okay, so we just want to walk through this, and I want to go quick because I don't want to keep you over. Okay, sorry.
Here, make sure you do that. I'll do this.
Okay. All right, so our objectives when we do our exercise in October, it's going to be a tabletop. So we're going to be sitting around like this. Nobody's going to be moving. We're not moving residents. We're not moving staff or stuff. We're just talking. We're going to walk through an evacuation. Just hoping that wasn't my phone is all I was looking at. So these are going to be our objectives. Triage. If you have an incident where a tornado, let's say a tornado has hit your facility and you've got injuries, you may have a situation where somebody in your operations, that may be somebody in your nursing unit, or that may be your resident services branch director, somebody's got to be doing triage with these injuries. Do they need to go to the hospital? Do they need to go to the emergency room? Do they need to go to a like facility? Can they go to a nursing home but not have, like, can they take a step down, or do they need to take a step up? If you have a evacuation where there's no injuries, maybe it's the middle of winter and your heater's not working. Where there's no injuries, you still got to do some type of triage, because your elderly that are most frail need to get out first. So there's different kinds of triage, but it's things we need to think through. So as we do this evacuation drill, we're going to think through those triage options. Tracking residents is huge. If you are mutual aiding, I think that mutual aid agreement that we have signed, has 10 facilities, surrounding facilities. So if you're evacuating your residents to 10 different facilities, we have got to know where those folks are going, and we've got to keep record of that, because we've got to notify family. Family's going to be calling. We've just got to keep track of them, and that becomes, in a crisis, that becomes more difficult than what you would think. So tracking residents is going to be an objective. Evacuation supplies, we're going to just talk through all those supplies that we need when we're evacuating. We've got to send some of those supplies with your residents, including staffing. And then we're going to talk about staffing. And if we're sending all the staffing out with the residents, do we have enough to maintain care at the facility until we get completely evacuated? Or do we need to be, at what point do we need to start getting volunteers in to help at the facility as you're sending out staff? So those are going to be our objectives. So this is just the scenario we're going to use, and I don't know if Joyce is going to change this however she wants to. If we did a tornado, we will have some injuries. I didn't know if you wanted to do kind of an injury scenario, or if you just wanted to do an evacuation without injuries. So something for you to think about on how you want to do that. Until that time, we're going to use the tornado. It's damaged the west wing. There are injuries to residents. So the incident commander has been identified, which is Deb. And really this probably should be Deb. Deb has activated the nursing home incident command, so now we're in crisis mode. Joyce has assigned positions and give job action sheets. We give those out today just in case you wanted to look at that before the exercise, you are more than welcome. And I can get Joyce, if those change, I will get you other ones that you can give out to the people that actually need them. Joyce asked for situation updates for incident command staff. So what she will need to do is get a report from the plant, the facility. She'll get a report from nursing staff. How injured are our residents? She'll get a report from, I don't know what's on your west wing, but if anything's damaged there, if the kitchen is damaged, she's going to get a report from that. She's got to get a report, her and or Deb have got to get that report so they know what to do. Do we have to evacuate or can we shelter in place? So the evacuation is ordered. So we're going to move right through all that process to where we have an evacuation that's been ordered. And of course there's a lot more that goes into that because Deb will be talking to emergency management and fire and whoever. There's going to be a lot of people that probably will help make that determination. Okay, so as we move through the exercise, we're going to try to remember our chain of command. So whoever your assigned position, who you answer to is who is right above you. That person may not be your normal supervisor. It may be your normal supervisor. But we have to remember your chain of command. So if your supervisor is Barb, then you need to answer to Barb. If Jane Doe starts coming in and telling you to do things, you have to know who your supervisor is so you can know whether that's a legitimate exercise or if somebody's just winging it and just kind of messing up your incident command. The exercise will be from 0 to 2 hours post-disaster, so we're not going to think too far ahead. Our purpose is just getting the residents out of the facility. And then back to the objectives, we're not going to get too deep into the weeds. We're not going to worry about whether the facility is safe or whether the phone lines are down or that type of thing. We're going to stick to our objectives. And we'll have those posted so we can remember them. Okay, so let me see, go one more slide and see what I've got going on here. Okay, so, all right, so I'm going to just do 10 more minutes. Is that okay, Joyce?
Yeah, you're fine. Oh, you're fine.
Just so you've got plenty of time to do what else
No,
you've
we're
got
fine.
to do. Okay, so so Joyce, will you come up here? Okay, so you got to help run this. Okay, so now you and Deb have ordered an evacuation. So we need to start thinking about what we're going to do from the time the evacuation is ordered until we get all the residents out. So what do you want us to do first? That's okay.
I talked to the nursing to find out what supplies needs to go with every resident. Charity's in charge of all the admissions and, the transfer.
So do you have, okay, let's say we don't have, the facility is not damaged. Where would you likely evacuate out of? Now we're talking the nursing home. I keep thinking the hospital because we're in the hospital.
Okay.
So the nursing home, where would you likely evacuate out of there?
You say we aren't? Say that.
If we're evacuating the nursing home,
When we did a table talk a couple of years ago, just a few of us. We actually talked about if it was the west end of the building, you could bring the residents over here. It's almost like you needed a big room to where you could have everybody at, and then families, if there was families coming to maybe get somebody, or maybe the Arapahoe nursing home is coming to pick up 2 residents. It was better to bring here to this room, and then we could function out of here at the old ER entrance if there was an ambulance or fan or something, and we were going to kind of filter out of here.
so this is going to be your staging area basically. Right. Okay, so I'm going to kind of walk through this and you tell me where your plans differ from what I'm just thinking through this. Okay, so if this is your staging area, you're going to want to bring charts, medications,
Residents.
supplies, and residents in here. Okay, so your psychosocial unit leader, and I don't know if that's the right person you've got designated.
That's Mark.
You are going to be extremely busy because one of your main tasks is to be calling families. to see if some of the families want to come get their loved one, or notifying that we're evacuating. Then after the fact, you're going to be calling them back and saying, you know, they went here, they went there. So your main task is going to be calling and notifying families. All right, so we've got, okay, so, and this is where the triage comes in. So would you bring all the residents in here, or would you triage them, and the ones that are going out first, we'd like, so if we've got 10 that needed to go out immediately, we'd bring those 10 in here, we'd get them their stuff, but you wouldn't bring, I mean, I don't know that this would even hold everybody
It's not
really.
gonna hold everybody, but there's a room across the hall that maybe the people that, families were gonna come because maybe they didn't have the injuries. They could go into that room. We've got
Until
several
they're
rooms
ready.
down the hall, right.
Okay, so your nursing unit, somewhere in your nursing unit, either your nursing unit leader or somebody in that, there may be a lot of nursing unit people, of course, because, you know, they're important. Somebody in that group is going to be doing triage. You guys may know that immediately. If it's an evacuation without injuries, you may know that immediately. Bring me these 10 residents, they're going to have to go out immediately. But someone in that nursing unit is going to be doing triage. Your admit transfer, Charity, was that you? You're going to have a big job too, where to the point where you might have to have some help. So Charity, I would assume, would be in this room also, making sure everybody has the stuff that they need, and then tracking them as they're leaving. Jane's going home with daughter. This one's going, you know, these two are going to McCook. These two are going to El Dorado, these two. So the tracking, and I think there's a form on there for you, an NHIX form that you'll be tracking as they're leaving. And then you're going to be tracking the staff. So if you've got staff, 1 or 2 staff going with them, you're going to be tracking the staff going with them. They need to notify you when they get there to make sure they're there okay, and making sure you've got the right resident at the right facility to make sure your records are correct. So you're going to have a big job, Charity. That's a big job to do. Dietary. Brenda. Dietary is going to be huge too, because these residents are going to, if nothing else, they're probably going to need water sent with them. If they're diabetic, you know, they need food. Maybe they need food anyway. That's going to be a decision that Joyce and Deb need to make on what are we going to send as far as food and water. Long hauls, you know, it's a must. They must have food. Out here, the hauls are a little shorter, I would think. I don't know, going to Perkins County would be a long ways. That's just a decision, but dietary is going to be very important because something's got to be sent with those residents, just in case. And then your environmental, if you're sending them to another facility, your environmental is going to be important because I have listened to several evacuations of nursing homes, and what they're telling me is a lot of times you've got to evacuate the mattresses because the facilities have to take residents. If you call El Dorado and say, how many residents can you take? They have to give you a number. They cannot say 0. We're full. They have to take residents, even if they're lining them out in the dining room or the activities room or the hallway. If you guys are in an emergency evacuation, they have to take residents. And the same thing with you guys. If a nursing home calls you and says, we are in an emergency evacuation, how many can you take? You guys have to find space for them. You've got 48 hours that you are under no restrictions on the showers and the toilets and the spacing, where you just take the residents you can take. So a lot of the nursing homes, as they're evacuating, they've got to evacuate the mattresses because facilities can take residents, they just have no place for them to sleep. So the environmental person becomes important because if you're sending residents and they don't have a bed, you need to be sending linens, blankets, pillows, that type of thing, and you've got to get somebody to haul the mattress to wherever they're going. Which is another reason why our healthcare coalition is trying to buy some air mattresses to put in disaster stocks for each nursing home, so they've got some air mattresses for that, just that immediate air, you know, emergency evacuation. And then of course your physical plant is going to be, who is that? One of your maintenance gentlemen. Your physical plant is going to be important on safety reasons. If there's a safety issue, maintaining heating and air conditioning and toilets until you can ever get everybody out. If you're sheltering in place, you're going to be even more important, because if you're evacuating, for some reason the facility is unusable. But if you're sheltering in place, the facility is usable. It's your maybe not, maybe you have no other way, but you're sheltering in place. So that physical plant person is going to be huge, and trying to keep the facility operational while you still have residents here. Okay, so I kind of squirreled on you, Joyce. So, okay, so you bring in everybody here, and then you're shipping out of this room. I think what we'll do, I think you've got a great plan in place. I think we're just going to take that plan and just walk through it then in October.
This dietary is close, I mean, it's just right up, and same way with materials management to get,
Oh, that's awesome.
they're just down the hall by maintenance, and that way.
That's perfect.
We have like 2-gallon big bags that can fit meds, some Matans, whatever, and their name will be written on them if they have to go, and that way we have bags that everybody will take with them to another facility.
That's awesome. The other thing, and I think you guys have the plan in place, is to send some type of medical record with them, whether it's a face sheet or, it's nice if you send their medical record and their dietary record and their, I don't know that that's possible, but that's going to be very important also to send that with them. And do you guys do the wristband? Do you identify them by the wristband?
We have those in our medication card.
Perfect. So that's going to be probably another function of charity to make sure that that happens also. That's another part of the tracking. So I'm guessing that would be charity's responsibility also, or whoever she's got helping her. You may have somebody just doing that too.
Are you gonna have time to put a wristband on them during this time?
That is going to be super important to get the wristband on those folks, because as soon as they leave here, nobody knows them. So even if you're sending staff, so if you're sending 4 residents to El Dorado, even if you're sending staff.
But if you've had a major disaster, you're getting the patients over here, have you got time to get a band on that person so that emergency medical person comes in and says, okay, this is Sally. Well, who knows where it's Sally or not, unless he can read the band. Do we need to start putting a band on them now?
No.
I think, and that's where staffing is going to be so important. If you can get some volunteers in to help do that, so your people, if your people don't have to do that type of thing, and they may have to do that because they may not know the person, but that's where you're getting some volunteers in here, calling public health to come help you. Call us, because we can get some medical reserve corps people in here to help you. Don't try to do this all on your own. And that's where the staffing becomes so important. I'm getting somebody in here that can do that, so you're getting everything done that you need to do to safely evacuate the resident. But that your staff are trying to manage the crisis. I totally get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
What would happen if you had the bands in the room? And when you pulled it, say I went in to pull a patient out, first thing I do is grab the band and stick on his hand. And then wherever he went, that band would be on him in the disaster, instead of having to wait.
What if they're all in the dining room when it happens? Then they'd have to be running to the rooms. So that's why we keep
Not if
sending the
you're pulling
band
them
card.
out.
With their
If you-
medication, isn't it? They're with their medication.
Oh,
Those
so
things that we'll
you
go through as we act this out, those are questions that we'll
absolutely.
have to be thinking about.
That's a good point. This is why we're doing this in October, is because we're gonna walk through this and try to figure out the best way of doing things. Because they're not only gonna need the wristband, but we gotta make sure they've got their medications, they've got their hygiene supplies, if they've got, whatever medical condition they've got supplies. So when they show up at El Dorado, they've got the supplies that they need to try to take care of that patient for at least 48 hours. So it's something we'll walk through in October. Good questions. And And so we're just going to walk through that from patient 1 to patient end, how many ever residents you have. We're going to walk through that whole process to see if there's any questions like that that we need to, you know, discuss, or things that we haven't thought about, or whatever. Are there any other questions? That's all I wanted to do today.
No, that's perfect.
Is that okay? Questions? Be thinking about your role. If you got a colored sheet today, be thinking about that role. And the front page is just a real short job description, and then I put the entire job description in there with it, just in case you were interested. And if Joyce may rearrange some of those folks if they're not here, or we just kind of did that in a hurry, so she may rearrange you guys a little bit. Don't be offended. It's just we're trying to plug the best person into the best place at the best time. So, and if you need more of those, Joyce, if you want to try to do the 3 deep or get 2 deep or whatever, just let me know. Or that this website, you can get all those job action sheets on that website too. So I'm sure you've got that. So just kind of be thinking about that role that you're going to play in October. Is there anything else that I missed? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I'm done. I think Joyce, we're going to try to get out of here quickly. And
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you very much.
thank you guys.
So we just need to have the Manor staff to stay. Thank you, all of the departments. And put on your calendar, I think it's,
October 18th.
October
2/15.
18th, 2/15, and it's definitely mandatory, just like this one, so. Mandatory means mandatory, so. Hey. Hey.
No, they're gonna still have a name to be done by.
Okay, thanks, Joyce. I'll be watching you before I know. Yeah. Like in the other I don't want to disrupt these. I don't want to Okay, I just don't want her to disrupt whatever she's got.
Yeah.
Carol said she was last night. I Joyce, do you have that? And then I called someone, but I didn't get it. Should I pass the ice cream around while we're?
Yeah, if some, or everybody help yourself, because it's going to be melting.
Ice cream. Oh. Nobody's left at home.
It's already. Oh, Joyce.